The discovery the crimson dust of Mars swirled around Captain Marcus Kane's boots as he patrolled the outer rim of New Olympia. The human colony had been thriving for 3 years, but the Badlands beyond the protective dome still held dangers. Pirates, scavengers, and worse things lurked in the shadows of the red planet's endless canyons. Marcus had seen it all during his time as head of colony security. Former Earth military, he'd volunteered for the Mars assignment after losing his family in the Titan station bombing. The isolation suited him. No attachments, no complications, just duty and survival. That morning changed everything. Behind a cluster of abandoned mining equipment, he found her. A young Zilani female, barely alive, her normally luminescent blue skin faded to a sickly gray. The elegant ridges along her forehead were cracked and bleeding. Her clothes were torn rags, and her breathing came in shallow gasps. Zilani were rare. On Mars, the proud aquatic species rarely left their homeworld of Aquatica, Prime. This one looked like she'd been running for days, maybe weeks. Starvation had carved deep shadows under her large, violet eyes. Marcus knelt beside her, checking for weapons out of habit. She stirred weakly, those alien eyes focusing on him with surprising intelligence despite her condition. "Please," she whispered in accented standard. "They're coming." Before Marcus could ask who, the distant hum of hoverbikes reached his ears. He knew that sound. Crimson Fang Raiders, the most vicious pirate gang in the Mars system. Without thinking, Marcus scooped the alien female into his arms. She weighed almost nothing, her body trembling with fever. He carried her to his patrol vehicle, laying her gently in the back seat. "Stay quiet," he told her, covering her with his emergency blanket. "I'll get you to safety." The raiders appeared. On the horizon, their bikes kicking up clouds of red dust. Marcus started his engine and drove toward the colony, keeping his speed normal. Just another routine patrol. Nothing to see here. The lead raider pulled alongside his vehicle, visor reflecting the harsh Martian sun. "Seen anything unusual out?" "There, human?" Marcus kept his expression neutral. "Just rocks and dust. Same as always." The raider's hand moved to his weapon. "We're tracking someone. Valuable cargo." "You sure you haven't seen a blueskin?" "Can't say I have," Marcus replied steadily. "But I'll keep my eyes open." The raider studied him for a long moment, then gunned his engine and rode away with his gang. Marcus didn't exhale until they were. Dots on the horizon. In the back seat, the Zilani female had lost consciousness again. He pressed harder on the accelerator, racing toward the colony's medical center. He didn't know her name yet, didn't know her story, but something deep in his chest told him his carefully ordered life was about to change forever. The healing DR. Jennifer Walsh worked quickly, her skilled hands moving over the alien patient with practiced efficiency. The colony's medical bay was small but well-equipped, and she'd treated enough different species to know the basics of Zilani physiology. Severe dehydration, malnutrition, and what looks like plasma burn scars, she reported to Marcus, who stood watching from the doorway. "She's been through hell, but she live." Marcus nodded, feeling an unexpected relief. "Any idea what those scars are from?" "Slave brands," Jennifer said grimly. "I've seen them before. Whoever owned her liked to mark their property." The words hit Marcus like a physical blow. Slavery was supposedly extinct in the civilized galaxy, but everyone knew. It thrived in the outer systems. The thought of this young female being treated as property made his jaw clench. How long before she wakes up? Could be hours, could be days. Her body's been pushed beyond its limits. Marcus pulled up a chair beside the medical bed. "I'll wait." Jennifer raised an eyebrow. "Marcus, you don't even know her name." "Doesn't matter. She asked for help." The Zilani female woke 3 days later. Her skin had regained some of its natural blue glow, and her breathing was stronger. Those violet eyes tracked movement as Marcus entered the room. "You're safe," he said simply. "You're in the new Olympia colony. I'm Marcus Kane." She tried to sit up, wincing at the effort. "I am Nissa of the Deep Currents," she said formally. "I owe you a life debt, Marcus Kane." "No debt," Marcus replied. "Just tell me who was chasing you." Nissa's expression darkened. "The Crimson Fang. They raided our transport ship 6 months ago. Killed my family. Took the survivors to sell at the slave markets on Kepler Station. How did you escape? I didn't. I was sold to a mining consortium on the asteroid belt. Spent 4 months in the tunnels before I found a way out. Stole a ship, but it broke down in Mars orbit. I've been hiding in the Badlands ever since." Marcus felt anger building in his chest. The Crimson Fang had been terrorizing shipping lanes for years, but they'd never hit a Zelani transport before. The aquatic species were known for their peaceful nature and advanced technology. "They're still looking for you," he said. "Saw them myself when I found you." Nissa nodded. "They don't like to lose property, but I will not go back. I would rather die." "That's not going to happen," Marcus said firmly. "You're under colony protection now." "Why?" Nissa asked, studying his face. "Why would you risk your safety for a stranger?" Marcus didn't have a good answer. He'd spent 3 years avoiding emotional connections, keeping everyone at arm's length. But something about this brave young female who'd fought her way to freedom stirred something in him he'd thought was dead. "Because it's the right thing to do," he said finally. Nissa was quiet for a long moment. Then she reached out and touched his hand. Her skin was cool and smooth, with a faint luminescence that seemed to pulse with her heartbeat. "Thank you, Marcus Kane. I will not forget this kindness." Neither would he, Marcus realized. The careful walls he'd built around his heart were already beginning to crack. The bond Nissa recovered quickly once her strength returned. Zelani physiology was remarkably resilient, and within 2 weeks she was walking around the colony, learning about human culture and technology. The colonists were initially wary of the alien refugee, but her gentle nature and eager curiosity soon won them over. Marcus found himself spending more time with her than strictly necessary. He told himself it was just security protocol, keeping an eye on a potential target. But the truth was more complicated. Nissa was brilliant. Her people's natural affinity for technology, combined with her own fierce intelligence, made her invaluable to the colony's engineering teams. She helped optimize their water reclamation systems, improving efficiency by 30%. Her insights into energy distribution saved them thousands of credits in power costs. But it was the quiet moments that affected Marcus most. Evenings when they walked the colony perimeter together, Nissa sharing stories of her homeworld's vast oceans and floating cities. The way she listened when he talked about Earth, about the family he'd lost, about the guilt that had driven him to Mars. "On Aquatica Prime," she told him one evening as they watched the twin moons rise over the red horizon, "we have a saying, the deepest currents run beneath the surface. I think you understand this, Marcus Kane." He did. Beneath her gentle exterior, Nissa carried depths of pain and determination that matched his own. She'd lost everything, just as he had. But where he'd retreated into isolation, she'd chosen to rebuild, to trust, to hope. "You're not what I expected," he admitted. "What did you expect? Someone broken? Someone who'd given up?" Nissa smiled, her bioluminescent markings glowing softly in the moonlight. "I was broken for a time. But being broken doesn't mean being defeated. Your people have a phrase for this, yes? What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Something like that. The Crimson Fang took my family, my freedom, my world. But they could not take my spirit. They could not take my hope. And now, because of your kindness, I have a chance to rebuild." Marcus felt something shift inside him. The walls around his heart cracked a little more. The attack came 2 months later. 30 Crimson Fang raiders, their ships screaming out of Mars's thin atmosphere like angry wasps. They'd found Nissa's location through a bounty hunter's tip, and they wanted their property back. Marcus stood in the colony's command center, watching the approaching ships on the tactical display. Around him, colonists rushed to battle stations. New Olympia had decent defenses, but nothing that could stand against a full pirate assault. "Evacuation protocols are in effect," he announced over the comm. "All non-essential personnel to the emergency shelters." Nissa appeared at his shoulder. "I should go to them. If I surrender, they might spare the colony." "Like hell," Marcus said firmly. "You're not going anywhere." "Marcus, I won't let innocent people die for me." He turned to face her, seeing the determination in her violet eyes. This was the strength that had carried her through slavery, through escape, through months of hiding. But he'd be damned if he let her sacrifice herself now. "Then we fight," he said simply. "Together." Nissa nodded, her hand finding his. Together. The battle for New Olympia was about to begin. The first wave of Crimson Fang fighters screamed. Over the colony's dome, their energy weapons lighting up the Martian sky. Marcus coordinated the defense from the command center, his military training taking over as he directed the colonists' response. New Olympia's defensive turrets opened. Fire, sending streams of plasma into the attacking ships. 2 raiders exploded in brilliant fireballs, but the rest kept coming. They were experienced fighters, veterans of 100 raids across the outer systems. "They're targeting the power grid," Lieutenant Torres reported from the weapons station. "If they knock out our main generators, the defense grid goes down." Marcus studied the tactical display. The raiders were using a classic pincer movement, trying to overwhelm the colony's defenses through sheer numbers. But they were also being careful, precise. They wanted the colony intact, wanted to capture Nissa without destroying their prize. "Nissa," he called out, "I need you at the engineering station. Can you reroute power from non-essential systems?" She was already moving, her fingers flying over the control interface. "I can give you 20% more power to the weapons. Grid, but it won't last long. It doesn't have to." Marcus opened a channel to all defensive positions. "This is Kane. I'm uploading new targeting coordinates. We're going to hit them with everything we've got in one synchronized strike." The plan was risky. By concentrating their firepower, they'd leave other sections of the colony vulnerable. But Marcus was counting on the raiders' arrogance, their belief that these human colonists couldn't mount an effective resistance. "All stations, fire on my mark," he commanded. The enhanced weapons grid lit up the sky, catching the raiders by surprise. 3 more ships exploded, their debris raining down on the Martian surface. The surviving pirates pulled back, regrouping for another assault. "They're calling for reinforcements," Torres reported. "Long-range sensors show 6 more ships approaching from the asteroid belt." Marcus felt his heart sink. They bloodied the enemy's nose, but they couldn't hold against a full pirate fleet. The colony's weapons were already running low on power, and they had no way to replace what they'd expended. "Marcus," Nissa said quietly, "there is another way." He looked at her, seeing something new in her expression, a hardness that hadn't been there before. "The raiders' ships use standard pirate encryption," she continued. "If I can access their communication network, I might be able to turn their own weapons against them. That's impossible. You'd need direct access to their command ship." "Yes," Nissa said simply. "I would." Marcus realized what she was suggesting. "No, absolutely not. I won't let you walk into their hands." "It's not your choice to make," she replied, her voice gentle but firm. "I know their systems, their protocols. I spent 6 months as their prisoner, Marcus. I learn things. Nissa, please. There has to be another way. She stepped closer, her cool hand touching his cheek. You saved my life when I had nothing. You gave me hope when I thought it was lost. You showed me that not all beings are cruel, that kindness still exists in this galaxy. Then don't throw it away, Marcus said desperately. Don't throw us away. For a moment, her mask slipped, and he saw the fear beneath her determination. I'm not throwing us away. I'm fighting for us, for all of us. The command center shook as another wave of raiders strafed the colony. Warning lights flashed red, and the smell of smoke drifted through the air vents. I love you, Issa said simply. I never thought I would be able to say those words again, but you taught me how. To hope. Marcus felt his world stop. I love you too, which is why I can't let you do this. And I love you, which is why I must. She kissed him then, soft and desperate, tasting of starlight and sorrow. When she pulled away, her violet eyes were bright. With tears, trust me, she whispered. Trust in us. Before Marcus could stop her, she activated the emergency beacon and stepped toward the colony's main airlock. The raiders would see the signal, would know their prize was surrendering. But Marcus knew Nissa better than that. She wasn't surrendering. She was going to war. The Victory, the Crimson Fang command ship, was a massive converted cruiser, its hull scarred by decades of pirate raids. As Nissa was brought aboard in restraints, she kept her expression carefully neutral, playing the part of the defeated fugitive. Captain Voss, the pirate leader, was a scarred human with cybernetic implants covering half his face. He looked Nissa up and down like she was a piece of valuable cargo. 6 months you've been running, he said with a cruel smile. Cost us time, money, and good men, but now you're back where you belong. I belong to no one, Nissa replied quietly. Voss backhanded her across the face, the cybernetic limb leaving a bloody mark on her cheek. You belong to whoever owns your contract. And that's us. He turned to his crew. Lock her in the holding. Sell. Once we finish with the colony, we'll take her to the Kepler markets. Should fetch a good price. But as they led her through the ship's corridors, Nissa was memorizing everything. The layout, the security systems, the crew positions. Her people's natural ability to process complex information served her well, building a three-dimensional map of the ship in her mind. The holding cell was a small, cramped space in the ship's lower decks. But it was exactly where Nissa wanted to be, away from the bridge, close to the ship's main computer core. She waited until the guards moved away, then began working on the cell's lock. The restraints were standard military issue, designed to hold struggling prisoners. But Nissa had learned a few things during her months as a slave. The lock clicked open with a soft hiss. Moving silently through the ship's maintenance corridors, Nissa made her way to the computer core. The Crimson Fang used modified military systems, but the basic architecture was familiar. She'd helped design similar networks on her homeworld. Her fingers flew over the interface, bypassing security protocols and diving deep into the ship's operating system. The pirates had been careless, leaving backdoors and vulnerabilities that any skilled technician could exploit. First, she accessed the communication network, sending a coded message to Marcus on the colony. Then she began her real work. The Crimson Fang fleet relied on automated targeting systems, centralized command and control. If she could turn those systems against them, make their own weapons see them as enemies. Took precious minutes to rewrite the targeting protocols, to insert the virus that would spread through the entire pirate fleet. But finally, it was done. Now, she whispered, activating the program. Across the pirate fleet, ships suddenly began firing on each other. The automated defense systems, convinced they were under attack by enemy vessels, opened fire with everything they had, On the colony, Marcus watched in amazement as the raider ships exploded in brilliant fireballs. The communication array crackled, with panicked voices as the pirates tried to understand what was happening. "This is impossible," Torres breathed. "They're destroying themselves." Marcus smiled grimly. "No, she's destroying them." The command ship shuddered as its own weapon systems turned inward, overloading critical systems. Emergency lights flashed. As the ship began to break apart, Nyssa fought her way through collapsing corridors, her enhanced physiology giving her the speed and agility to dodge falling debris. She reached an escape pod. Just as the ship's reactor went critical dot, the pod launched into space moments before the command ship exploded, taking Captain Voss and his crew with it. Marcus was waiting when Nyssa's pod touched down outside the colony. She stumbled out, battered but alive, and fell into his arms. "I told you to trust me," she said, her voice hoarse but triumphant. "I did," Marcus replied, holding her close. "I always will." 3 years later, they stood together in the colonies. Central Plaza, surrounded by friends and family. Nyssa wore a traditional Zelani bonding dress, its bioluminescent threads creating patterns of light that pulsed with her heartbeat. "Do you, Marcus Kane, take this woman as your wife?" The colony's chaplain asked. Marcus looked into Nyssa's violet eyes, remembering the broken, starving refugee he'd found in the Martian Badlands. Now she was strong, confident, brilliant. The colony's chief engineer, beloved by all who knew her. "I do," he said simply. "And do you, Nyssa of the deep currents, take this man as your husband?" Nyssa smiled, her bioluminescent markings glowing with joy. "I do." As they kissed, the colony erupted in celebration. Human and alien voices raised together in joy, celebrating. Not just a wedding, but the triumph of love over hatred, hope over despair. Marcus had found her starving in the streets. Now, years later, he called her his wife. And she had made him whole again, just as he had saved her life. Together, they had built something beautiful from the ashes of loss. Together, they would face whatever the galaxy threw at them next. The human spirit, Marcus knew, was stronger than any force in the universe. And when it was joined with love, it was truly unstoppable.